2024 Eugene City Council meeting. Thank you for joining us in this hybrid meeting format. Anyone wishing to access the meeting can do so by watching the live stream available on our website, the broadcast on Comcast Channel 21, or by following the access instructions listed for this meeting on the city's public webcast and meeting materials webpage. Tonight's meeting will include a public comment period. If you wish to speak during the public comment period and have not already done so, please fill out a request to speak form available on our public webcast and meeting materials webpage or on one of the printed forms at the entrance to this room, and I imagine most of you have done that. We'll accept those request to speak forms until 7:35 p.m., and those forms will be used to generate the random order of speakers and to correctly enter speakers' names into the public record. Please note that we have restricted the total time of the public comment period to 90 minutes, and we are a little extra constrained because we are new in this building, and so we need to complete this meeting not later than 9:30. So I don't know what the total number is, but because we're not quite at 7:35, but I will just alert you that you have 2.5 minutes to speak. I know a number of you are here to speak on the same issue, to talk about Pride, and so I would just encourage you not to use your whole 2.5 minutes so that everybody who has signed up to speak will get a chance to speak. So if you're able to shorten your remarks so that all of your friends and colleagues and fellow supporters have a chance to speak, that would be really great. And then for those who are joining the meeting remotely, you are welcome to email your comments to City Council. And as a reminder, we have a few rules in the room: no flags, signs, loud or disruptive language, noise, or any conduct that obstructs the business of council. We're seeking to create a quiet, respectful space so that everyone can speak and be heard and feel safe doing so. You are always welcome to wave your fingers in silent support. And then we are a packed house tonight, so if you're not feeling well, we encourage you either to actually not stay in person at the meeting, or to use a mask, or to try and separate yourself from others. COVID is out there and taking over once again, so please be respectful of the space and the health of people around you. And we do have some new technologies. As you know, this is a new space for us, and so if there are little moments where we're reading things wrong or getting things wrong, we're getting used to it, but I think we've got it pretty much dialed in now. So with that, I call the July 22nd, 2024 meeting of Eugene City Council to order, and we'll begin with a land acknowledgement. Since time immemorial, the Kalapuya people have been the indigenous stewards to our region, building dynamic communities, maintaining balance with wildlife, and enacting sustainable land practices. This land acknowledgement is a way of resisting the erasure of indigenous histories and of honoring Native communities by inviting truth and reconciliation. Following treaties between 1851 and 1855, Kalapuya people were dispossessed of their indigenous homeland by the United States government and forcibly removed to the Coast Reservation in Western Oregon. As we consider the impacts of colonization, we also acknowledge the strength and resiliency of displaced indigenous people. The city of Eugene is built within the traditional homelands known as Kalapuya Ilahi. Kalapuya descendants are citizens of the Confederated Tribes of Grand Ronde Community of Oregon and the Confederated Tribes of Siletz Indians of Oregon. They continue to make contributions in our communities here and across the lands. We express respect for the inherent political sovereignty of all federally recognized tribal nations and indigenous people who live in the state of Oregon and across the nation. Today I have, as we often do, we open these meetings with proclamations, and we have a proclamation tonight in recognition of LGBTQ Pride Day. And since many of you are assembled here and feeling very concerned, upset, angry about the upcoming Pride Festival and the circumstances that you're worried about, I just want to say that I'm issuing this proclamation. A proclamation is a kind of promise that we do the work, that we continue to do the work. And so as you express your frustrations and concerns, we are here to listen respectfully. And we also hope that you will give us that room to recognize that if there are mistakes that have been made, if there are things that are not understood, that we continue to learn and do our best. So I do not read this in a performative way. I read this in a way to say, this is a promise, this is a commitment on our part as a city to do the best work we can. So with that in mind, whereas the Eugene Springfield Pride in the Park Festival celebrates all that makes this community great, and whereas the City of Eugene and the Pride in the Park Festival work to ensure that all human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights, and are treated equally regardless of sexual orientation or gender identification, and whereas the City of Eugene and the Pride in the Park Festival are committed to ensuring diversity, social justice, equality, and mutual respect throughout our community, and whereas the City of Eugene and the Pride in the Park Festival strongly support visibility, dignity, and equality for LGBTQ+ people in our community, and whereas the City of Eugene and the Pride in the Park Festival proudly state that we support our LGBTQ+ community and love will win the day. Now, therefore, I, Lucy Vennis, Mayor of the City of Eugene, Oregon, do hereby proclaim August 10, 2024 to be Eugene Springfield LGBTQ Pride Day. Thank you. Our first item of business is our committee reports on items of interest, and so I will turn to council today. I know the city manager has remarks to make, but I'll open it to council first. Councilor Semple.
Thank you all for being here.
Microphone.
One of these days we'll get used to this. Thank you for all being here. I'm looking forward to everything you have to say. I also just want to put this out for a bit of fun, stepping aside from all the really serious stuff we're dealing with. But Friday, August 9th, the night before Pride, there will be the Slug Queen competition at the East Park Blocks, starting 6:30. Bring your own chair. There will be glamorous costumes, 3-minute talent acts, and impromptu questions. Try to catch everybody at their best. So I hope that you will come and have some fun with the Society for the Legitimization of the Ubiquitous Gastropod. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other councilors with comments? All right, if none, then I will turn it over to the city manager.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a couple of things I wanted to share. I realized the last Monday night I didn't share that our Chief of Staff, Brooke Freed, and I had the opportunity to attend the Coquille Tribal Restoration that was in the Port Abandon a couple weeks ago. Great event. Favorite part for me was actually the way they honor everybody in their community's graduations from high school to technical school, and it was just a really neat event. And we'll try to get more people there next year because I think it was really, really worth the investment. Secondly, I have kind of a core value around not even looking at the AISs for items that we have a public hearing for until after the public hearing, because I don't want that start thinking about a decision about what I would recommend until after we've actually heard from the public. And so I feel a little bit torn tonight because I know there's a lot of folks here to speak about their perceptions about how things are going with Pride. And I have some information I've been learning about around what staff have been doing, how soon did we get involved. And I actually kind of want to wait until the end if you have questions. I do want to say a couple of things. I know our staff has been working really hard to actually implement one of your 4 key areas of your first strategic plan ever, which is a culture of belonging. On Wednesday, you're going to look and see a number of things that have been happening in the organization, one of which is an Art in the Parks grant program to actually support groups like Pride and putting events like this. So Pride is actually one of the recipients of that. That said, the fact that we have a room full of people that are here and not happy with their city is concerning to me, especially since I'm a member of this community. So we clearly have more to do, at least in the communications realm. So I'm looking forward to the comments. I do want to assure you we have been working with this group for months. That doesn't mean that's the right answer, but looking forward to hearing what they say. And if you have questions after, I have quite a bit of information.
Okay, thank you. That'll be very, very helpful. And I actually realized, shifting gears back again to general comments that I did want to comment that on a different topic, that I also issued a proclamation, the city issued a proclamation yesterday in honor of the 75th anniversary of St. Mark's CME Church in West Eugene. And that church has been the center of the Black community in this community for 75 years. And they have weathered all kinds of trials and tribulations and travails. They're a powerful organization, a wonderful community center. It coincides with the expulsion of the Black community from across the river in what is now Alton Baker Park 75 years ago. So they have created this center of gravity for the Black community in Eugene and Springfield, and it was wonderful to be there and honor that and recognize a really important institution in our community. So, okay, with that, I think we're ready for the consent calendar.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to approve items on consent calendar 1.
Second.
All in favor, please vote. Okay, so voted. It looks like that is a unanimous yes. Thank you very much. And with that, we are ready for consent calendar 2.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to approve the items on consent calendar 2.
Second.
All in favor, please vote. And that is a unanimous yes as well. Thank you very much. And with that, we are ready to move into the public comment. The public comment period is an opportunity for individuals to speak to the City Council on any city-related issues except for those items which have already been heard by a hearings official. And I'll turn to staff to share the list of speakers who had signed up by 7:35.
Thank you, Mayor. We have 26 speakers this evening.
All right, so I think with 26, as everyone keeps moving, everybody will get a chance to speak. And so, Cherish, I'll let you go into your explanation.
Thank you, Mayor. I will announce 2 speakers' names at a time. When you are called to speak, please state your name and your ward or neighborhood, if known, before beginning your comments. If you are announced as the next speaker, please move to the seat in the front row designated for the next speaker. When it is your turn, you may come to the podium. Please leave any bags you may have with you at your seat. If you have documents to give council, please place them in the basket near the podium. You will have 2.5 minutes to speak. The timer will flash red when you have 15 seconds remaining to speak. Your microphone will be muted at the 2.5-minute mark. Please note that the use of profanity is prohibited, and any instances of profanity will result in immediate termination of speaking privileges. Our first speaker this evening is Misty Bowman, followed by Heather Allen.
Hello, my name is Misty Bowman. I live in Ward 7. I'm a Dark Sky International advocate, and I'm here to discuss light pollution. I had pictures to go with this presentation, but something happened with my car. I had to run to catch a bus. I missed the pictures. But let's say I'm a resident of Ward 7, and I want to walk to Round 1 at the Valley Regal River Center to play some bowling, have a cider, go home about midnight. As a Dark Sky International advocate, I ask how long until I'm met with extreme light pollution. And the answer is I walk out and I see the entire mall and DMV parking lot lit up like a stadium. How long until I see wasteful lights? And the answer is on the Greenway Bicycle Bridge, we have unshielded lights, half of the lights, spilling into the water and skies of our beautiful Willamette River. I don't know how many of you can walk on water. I know this one guy who said he could, but he lived a long time ago. How long until the lights are unpleasant? I enter Maury Jacobs Park, and immediately we have a high glare light in the shadows of trees, causing your pupils to repeatedly dilate. How long until the lights are unsafe? Again, I had pictures for this, but with the high glare of light, somebody can be standing on the exact opposite side of a light, and they could be wearing all black, and I cannot see them at all, only a few yards away. And that's if they're standing in the light. They could easily be sitting in the shadows to the side. All of this on what the Eugene website calls the crown jewel of riverfront parks. I encourage the City Council to plan a camping trip to a dark sky sanctuary on a new moon and see why light pollution is worth fighting. I urge the City Council to revise and enforce the outdoor lighting standards using Dark Sky International's 5 principles of responsible outdoor lighting for guidance. Lights in Eugene should be useful, targeted, low-level, warm-colored, and controlled. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Misty. Our next speaker is Heather Allen, followed by Zora Parker.
Okay, pardon me while I stumble through this. Hello, my name is Heather Allen. Where is our community's care for pride and our local LGBTQ plus community? We have tried to be respectful members of our community. We already get out of your way by having our event in August to avoid being in conflict with the U of O commencement, track and field events, Juneteenth, and the other events in the area during Pride Month. Today, it feels as if we have to struggle to even have this one day, a struggle we are proud to share with each other and with other movements heroes. People like Marsha P. Johnson, Sylvia Rivera, Miss Major Griffin Gracie, and the other transgendered women of color and drag queens. Our police department, after more than a year of consistent and passionate pleas, still cannot guarantee the safety of Pride organizers, participants, and attendees. 3 weeks out from our festival, and we have no information from the EPD on how we will approach our event, handle the protesters that attempt to disrupt this gathering. We are seeing more support from Roseburg Pride organizers than we are from our own public safety officers, who we support with our tax dollars. The city should be embarrassed by this. Will bigots from out of town using the guise of religion be allowed to roam rampant through the festival grounds, step on people's picnics, block visibilities of stage with hateful signs, and shout slurs at us over amplified sound that they don't have a permit to use? Will Pride staff be required to keep public safety while officers stand ready to arrest Pride growers should the slightest movement go awry? This was our experience last year, which is unfortunately an improvement from EPD showing up in riot shields, helmets, and batons. However, what is Eugene's responsibility to keep its actual tax-paying citizens safe? We have been told directly that our people are usually the problem.
Thank you, Heather. Your time is concluded. Our next speaker is Zora Parker, followed by Kendra Rivera.
Hello, my name is Zora Parker, and I'm a proud technical theater journeyman in the chapter of IITC 675 here in Eugene. As part of the International Alliance of Stage Technicians and Entertainment Technicians, my union facilitates the coming together and performance of Broadway shows, sporting events, concerts of all kinds, including the symphony, which is a huge draw, and other sporting event rock shows, even the Brava breakfast that we have at the Holt Center, which helps with the City of Commerce. My union is diverse in makeup as it is in work. And many of my union are at Pride, helping to support and also to be able to celebrate our truth together as union. Allowing Kesey Enterprises to overtake Alton Baker Park, which is a public space, by the way, for a concert that doesn't start until an hour after celebration is finished sends a message to me and my rainbow kin. A message that we are only necessary to put on your sports, your concerts, your Brava breakfasts and business council meetings, and your Broadway shows. That the celebration specifically for rainbows in the dark, such as myself, has no place in Eugene. There's a saying in the union that the union is a space for everyone and has a place for everyone. And I urge the council and other management of the city to think about where is our place. There are so many spaces for other groups. Where is the place for the rainbows in the dark? Thank you.
Thank you, Zora. Our next speaker is Kendra Rivera, followed by Lucy Moore.
Hello, and thank you for hearing us tonight. My name is Kendra Rivera. I use she or they pronouns, and I teach. I'm a full-time faculty member at Lane Community College. Excuse me. As a faculty member, a member of the, and a mother, I can tell you that the Eugene Pride creates a community for our students. So I want to tell you a little bit more about that community. For 30 years, Eugene Pride has been an annual tradition for our area's lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and other LGBTQ+ community. And it has been the only consistent cultural tradition of the queer, trans, and gender diverse community. We are an all voluntary led and run 501c3 nonprofit. Pride is not just a party or festival, it is a life-saving event for many. We have a sober circle, for example, where queers and trans folks in recovery can still be in community while maintaining their sobriety and building a network of support year-round. We offer an interfaith area where faith organizations can work to undo centuries of trauma inflicted on our communities. Our youth zone offers the chance for LGBTQ+ parents to meet each other and for queer, trans, and gender diverse youth to express themselves through art, activities, and fun. We have a large clothing swap and offer free gender diverse haircuts so that people can feel comfortable in their bodies. And that's not even getting to the 153 drag queens, musicians, comedians, dancers, poets, and other artists who express themselves on our 2 stages to a crowd of over 12,000 people. We have close to 300 sponsors and vendors and with booths at this event. Many are businesses owned by queer youth and emerging entrepreneurs who are opening small businesses and making their first start. No other venue in Eugene offers this opportunity. More than 100 people will be tested for HIV and get immediately connected to care and support and in a supportive environment. More than 100 nonprofits will raise awareness around their services and connect the LGBTQ+ community to jobs, resources, and support. Others will receive health care at our medical tent from doctors and nurses who are volunteering their time. People will meet their first partner at Pride. Some will openly be queer for the first time. I've seen my students do this. Others will see friends they haven't seen in years, and some will see that they are not alone, and it's worth it to keep going. That a community cares about them, people find themselves.
Thank you, Kendra. Your time is concluded. Our next speakers this evening are Lucy Moore, followed by Megan Tucker.
Hello, I'm Lucy, and I'm a citizen of Ward 8. I'm a homeowner in West Eugene neighborhood, and I work on the University of Oregon's campus, and I'm here to speak on sidewalks. I really enjoy walking around downtown, especially during the Saturday markets, while seeing the city's sidewalks buzzing with activity. I appreciate not only the stunning natural beauty of the Willamette Valley, but also the dynamic community spirit of Eugene. Active transportation, walking, cycling, and public transportation are at the heart of this spirit. Each morning, I wake up, get ready for work, pack my blue panniers, and head to the office on my gray bicycle. I enjoy how the commute wakes me up as I ride on the bike paths and protected bike lanes that run east towards the university. While I leave my bike parked, I walk around from the office to eat lunch, to go to the gym, and occasionally stop at a local business. And I see students using the sidewalks to safely get to class during the day. In the evenings, I like to spend time with friends for dinner and connection. I noticed as I walked to friends' homes that fellow Eugenians are also enjoying the cool evening air while walking to meet each other at community events, restaurants, and concerts. Our sidewalks serve as the arteries of the city, connecting homes, offices, parks, and local shops. One morning, I was pedaling to work. I was crossing an intersection about City View and Fernridge Path. At the same time, pedestrians were walking on the right side of the sidewalk. As I signaled to exit the street and turn right on the trail, I noticed there was a raise on one of the sidewalks of about 4 to 5 inches adjacent to that sidewalk, creating a lip that if I hit it at an angle would send me soaring off my bike and onto the ground. I had 2 options: cut the turn close and nearly hit the pedestrians walking on their other side, or stop in the road, hoping the cars behind me would notice and stop too. I chose to wait in the road until the path was clear to avoid hitting the protruding sidewalk cement and the pedestrians. Luckily, the car behind me noticed and slowed too, allowing time for the pedestrians to clear the space and for me to cycle across a smaller, flat section of the trail to continue safely to work. That same evening, I joined some friends near the university at their home for dinner. As I was approaching their neighborhood, I stepped across the sidewalk and landed in a dirt hole. It was so dark that I could not see and was surprised to find the pavement had been completely removed. I fell onto my knee and caught myself on my hands on the lawn across from me.
Thank you, Lucy. Your time is concluded. Our next speaker is Megan Tucker, followed by Julia Ozab.
Hello, and thank you. My name is Megan. I use she, they pronouns, and I live in Ward 7. I'm also on the board of Eugene Folklore Society, who will be performing at Pride. I'm also the event programmer at Eugene Pride, so I'm an active participant in this community. For 30 years, Eugene Pride has been an annual tradition for area's lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and other LGBTQ community. And it has been the only consistent cultural tradition of the tradition of the queer, trans, and gender diverse community. We're all volunteer-led and a 501c3 nonprofit. Pride is not just a party or a festival, it is a life-saving event for some. We have a sober circle where queer and trans folk and recovery can be in the community while still maintaining sobriety and building a network of support year-round. We offer interfaith area where faith organizers can work to undo centuries of trauma inflicted on our community. Our youth zone offers the chance for the LGBTQ community and parents to meet each other and for queer and trans and gender diverse youth to express themselves through art, activities, and fun. We have a large clothing swap and offer free gender diverse haircuts so that people can feel comfortable in their own bodies. And that's not even getting to the 153 drag queens, musicians, comedians, Morris dancers, poets, and other artists who express themselves on 2 stages to a crowd of over 12,000 people in your community. We have close to 300 sponsors, vendors, with booths at this event, many of the businesses owned by queer youth and emerging entrepreneurs who are all opening small businesses and making their start. No other venue in Eugene offers this kind of opportunity. More than 100 people will be tested for HIV and get immediately connected to care in a supportive environment. Others will receive health care at our medical tent from doctors and nurses who are volunteering their time. Some will see that they are not alone, and it's worth it to keep going, that a community cares about them, and people find themselves at Pride. I hope that you'll do better. Thanks.
Thank you, Megan. Our next speaker is our Julia Ozab, followed by Whitney Danielson.
Hi, my name is Julia Ozab. I am a resident of Ward 6. I stand before you today as both a proud mom of an LGBTQIA child and a fierce ally for any and all marginalized people. I also stand before you as a longtime resident of the Eugene-Springfield area who's struggling to understand how this situation managed to occur in the year of 2024. I moved here in the summer of 1999 from a small rural town in northeastern Indiana. I fell in love initially with the gorgeous scenery that Oregon offered, but it was the inclusivity that helped me know I had selected the right place to call home. the creativity of my first Eugene Celebration Parade, and ironically, the Slug Queen, what comes to mind is a glowing example of that inclusivity. My hometown was, and still is, extremely conservative, very white, very closeted, and very unaccepting of anything deemed different. Yet this past June, the LGBTQIA community there hosted their first ever Prism Fest, filling several downtown streets with rainbows, inclusion, and pride. It was enormously successful, despite the rainy weather, and more importantly, 100% safe. If that small, non-inclusive town, about the size of Anita, can make a Pride event happen successfully and safely, I see no reason why Eugene, a much more liberal and welcoming community, should be making it so difficult for the community, LGBTQIA community here to celebrate Pride. I've attended numerous events at Alton Baker Park over the last several years. Parking is never easy and really should be addressed for a better, more permanent solution. But in the meantime, all events held there need to have better security and safety for all. Eugene Pride organization has been working with the city for 10 months, spending hundreds of volunteer hours to address traffic, access, safety, etc. The question is, why are we still finding it 3 weeks out? We have little information from EPD regarding how they will approach our event and handle the protesters that we know are going to come and attempt to disrupt this event, especially in this very contentious election year. All I'm asking is that you look at those around you, that you consider the community, and realize that you are serving all of us. And as a proud mama bear, we're watching, and I hope that you'll do what's right. Thank you.
Thank you, Julia. Our next speakers are Whitney Danielson, followed by Brooks McLean.
Hello. My name is Whitney. I use she and they pronouns, and I live in Ward 2. I was born and raised in Eugene. I'm a lifelong resident, and as you will hear from other people and have heard, Pride is a really important event for the local queer community. As a member of that community over the years, I found it as a really important place for me to learn about my identity. And as you heard, there's lots of life-saving events there, like the Sober Circle, there's healthcare. Last year when I volunteered at Pride, I volunteered at the Veteran Village, which is a big tent that has resources for veterans everywhere from the state down to the county level. And I saw many and talked to personally many veterans who were queer or otherwise who had never accessed their benefits before, and they got to access them because they were at Pride. I think part of that is just, veteran services can be wild, but also because they had been historically excluded from the military through Don't Ask, Don't Tell and other resources, so they never felt comfortable accessing them. So it's a really important event. And I'm frustrated that this parking situation has been going on for so long. I'm frustrated that a private company is getting to take over parking in such a big way. I know the Kesey family is powerful in Eugene. I grew up here, but I would love to see parking be better at these events, and especially at ones that are important, like Pride. Mayor Venice, you gave an important proclamation about Pride, but words are nothing without actions. And similarly, you mentioned the Black church in Eugene, and I just got an email the other day from the Black Cultural Initiative saying that they are postponing the 75th annual Ferry Street Bridge commemoration celebration because, in their words, there was lack of clarity and process and poor communication with the city. Additionally, Pride this year, as others have said, have no clear support from EPD in a contentious election year. Parking is being taken away. There's many city staff who have been really helpful. I know that even today, this morning, people met with the Pride organization, met with the city, and they're doing the best they can. But I really would love the leadership of the city, like the council, to take action and really prioritize these cultural events, especially ones like Pride, so that other city employees can, get behind it and make it more of a priority. And I hope you all will continue to do better. Thank you.
Thank you, Whitney. Our next speakers are Brooks McLean, followed by Cameron Leda.
Councilors, Mayor, thank you for hearing us out. City staff, I want to be clear, kind of explain why this is happening. This is not an indictment of city staff. We have been working with some incredible people in the city of Eugene, and I do not want this to reflect poorly on them. On Friday, we were not sure, and until this morning, I was not sure if we could organize this event because questions that we should have been answered months ago were not answered because we because of contracts that have been signed that should be evaluated. Like, how can a private company take away parking from an event that already struggles with parking? And to learn this only 2 months before we organized the event, when we already had a traffic plan, we already had a plan in place, it was ripped away, no clarification was given. And this is not happening in isolation. We're losing Juneteenth celebration. We've lost the Black Cultural Festival. This other event that was just referred to has been postponed. We've lost our hospital. We're losing our baseball team, which is one of the biggest fundraisers for the LGBTQ community. And the first to wear rainbows on their jersey, gone, because we don't support culture. We used to have a saying, the greatest city for arts and outdoors. And we are turning our outdoors into a football palace. We are obliterating our cultural institutions right now. This is an indictment of the political leadership of this city. We prioritize Phil Knight. We prioritize Brian Obey. We do not prioritize the LGBTQ community in our festival. We do not prioritize the Black community in this town. We have a lot of great words, but those words are not translating into action. I don't know if you know, but a brick was thrown through the window of the Queer Resource Center. This is a center that's only been open for a year. We have pride flags being ripped off of people's houses. I understand that BBs were shot at a lesbian couple on Saturday night. The reason that this is all coming to the head in the way that this is right now is because of all of these things connected together, not because somebody couldn't clarify a process in the city. And if we have a member of our community leading our city and we still cannot support our community, what does that say about us as a city? And we're really good at putting on a show in Eugene. We can make traffic work. We can bring the whole world here to run around in a circle, but we can't offer life-saving support to our community in our own park, a park that was stolen from this city's first Black community after it was stolen from the indigenous people who were here. So we need to do better. Please provide better leadership. I will leave the whole statement that we've been reading here for you. Thank you very much, and thank you all for being here.
Thank you, Brooks. Our next speakers are Cameron Leda, followed by Robert Jackson.
Hello, my name is Cameron Lida, and I live in Ward 2. Esteemed council members, I wish to speak to you today about challenges the city has allowed to affect this year's Pride Festival. As you're no doubt aware, the city allowed Kesey Enterprises to take all control of traffic and parking at Alton Baker Park the day of the Pride Festival, severely limiting access to the festival for performers, vendors, and festival goers. Pride, like Juneteenth and the Black Cultural Festival, are opportunities for members of marginalized communities to gather and celebrate our cultures. All these celebrations have been canceled or compromised this year. As you may also know, EPD has not given the festival organizing committee any details as to their plans for police presence at the festival or how police plan to handle protesters at this year's festival. These protesters include folks who believe that people like me should not be drawing breath, and right now, I don't get the impression the city cares much about that. Now, I imagine the city does care about money. Eugene Pride attracts people from throughout the state, people who come and spend money at local businesses. As Eugene Pride is in August rather than in June, we get an undiluted stream of revelers, resulting in even more money for our city. Eugene Pride helps establish Eugene's status as the most gay-friendly town in this part of the state, leading to increased tourism all year long. But mess with that status and guess what? That revenue goes to Portland. In 2019, the County Board of Tourism described Eugene as having urban sophistication. And I'd like to say all that art and culture does not happen without queer people. I imagine you've noticed that Eugene is growing. In order to grow, we need to be able to attract skilled workers, particularly healthcare providers, of which I am one. Many folks in this room, and likely several of y'all, are on a lengthy wait list to be seen by primary care, psychiatry, a lot of other specialties. Eugene's already a hard sell for providers due to our high cost of living and housing shortage. I can assure you that the city's disregard for its queer community will not help matters. Trust me, word gets around. In my hometown of Atlanta, I had the pleasure of being represented in Congress by civil rights leader John Lewis. In 2019, Congressman Lewis wrote, "Every generation leaves behind a legacy. What that legacy will be is determined by the people of that generation. What legacy do you want to leave behind?" Esteemed council members, I invite you to consider that question. Will your legacy be Eugene where all are welcome and they spend their money here? Or will it be one of hate, provincialism, and decay? Thank you.
Thank you, Cameron. Our next speakers are Robert Jackson, followed by Stefan Streck.
Good evening, Council, Mayor. I'm going to speak a little bit about climate change. So, ladies and gentlemen, if we decide to push for a fossil-free future, it's crucial to confront the dark side of this transition. Oh, Ward 7, sorry. If we decide to push for this fossil-free future, it's crucial to confront the dark side of this transition, and that would be the severe impacts on both the environment and the people who mine the essential elements for electric vehicles and other so-called necessities. The skyrocketing demand for lithium, cobalt, and other rare earth metals is leading to environmental devastation. Mining operations cause deforestation, water contamination, and soil degradation.
Sorry.
And death on the streets. Stop the sweets and death on the streets.
We're gonna go.
Stop the sweets and death on the streets. Sorry. Stop the sweets and death on the streets. 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 Stop the
I have to agree.
death on the streets. Stop the sweets and death on the streets. Stop the sweets and death.
I'm reconvening the meeting. We went into recess because, as I announced in the beginning, that kind of protest vote is not allowed in this chamber. And if people don't listen, then we don't listen to them. So thank you for your patience and your forbearance, and thank you to staff. So we are back in session.
Would Robert like to start over? I know you were
Yeah,
interrupted.
Robert, do you want to begin
Start
again?
over, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'm not nervous anymore, so that's good. So I'm Robert Jackson from Ward 7. I'm just here to talk a little bit about climate change. Great job to everybody on that bike path on High Street. That's wonderful, and that's kind of what I'm aiming at, is I think we need more of that here in Eugene. Ladies and gentlemen, if we decide to push for a fossil-free future, it's crucial to confront the dark side of this transition, and that would be the severe impacts on both the environment and the people who mine the essential elements for electric vehicles and other so-called necessities. The skyrocketing demand for lithium, cobalt, and other rare earth metals is leading to environmental devastation. Mining operations cause deforestation, water contamination, and soil degradation. This isn't just harming the planet, it's obliterating ecosystems and driving countless species to extinction. Then there's the human toll. The Democratic Republic of the Congo produces more than 60% of the world's supply of cobalt. Now, these figures are actually about 2 years old. More recent estimates have it much higher. Of the 255,000 Congolese citizens mining cobalt, at least 40,000 are children. These miners, often working in informal, small-scale operations, primarily use their hands and earn less than $2 per day. Aside from the meager pay, they face grueling labor and severe health risks. Radiation exposure for miners is a ticking time bomb, leading to cancer and other deadly diseases. We're poisoning the very people fueling our electric futures. Beyond the physical impact, let's consider the moral and spiritual implications. Exploiting vulnerable communities and devastating natural landscapes for the sake of technological advancement is a betrayal of our ethical values. We must ask ourselves, what kind of future are we building if it rests on a foundation of suffering and environmental destruction? As a spiritual person, I believe that if temperatures really are rising, it's due to the lack of faith in God. We have become disturbingly egotistical and materialistic as a society. Given our inability to make peace, such as what's going on in Eugene, it sounds like, it's no wonder things are looking more and more hellish. I believe if we truly are concerned about this, we should just repent, return to morality, and pray it's not too late. In order to support my position, I suggest any interested parties read Deuteronomy chapter 28 in the Old Testament, but it sounds really familiar to our current world situation. Have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Our next speakers are Stefan Streck, followed by Andrew Simrin.
Good day once again, City Council. That was very nice change of pace to see more people come down here spontaneously. My name is Stefan Streck, and also my friends and family and voters refer to me as Ace Dog Streck. It's city staff seems to have missed that on the notes, but nobody's perfect, and I'm okay with that. I just got back from camping at the country fair, again for the 12th time. Didn't see as many people from government here as I would like to out there, but I encourage everybody to take a trip out there next year and maybe see what it's all about. I had a lot of fun and spent some time in the shade, relaxing, getting some sun, and come back to town, and it turns out that, you know, there's more of our beautiful trees in this city that I see with placards on them indicating they're being cut down because our public works finds our urban canopy inconvenient for their agenda. So how come when we've got global warming popping up every year, making things hotter, causing people to literally die out in the streets, that our local government can't just step up and put a real moratorium on needless, rampant destruction of our beautiful urban canopy in this city? It's disgusting and offensive that this can't just be addressed by more people who really care about our planet. You know, it's a lot of talk about love here tonight, and that's great. I support that. Spent quite a bit of time just trying to be more open-minded, and I really hope that our city staff can do more of the same. You know, it doesn't take a genius to figure out that things get hotter when you're standing out in the sun versus getting some time in the shade. So how come we can't actually work with the trees, protect our urban canopy, and really create a city that actually fulfills the ideals that are best for everybody? You know, Joe Biden's really shown that if you're inconvenient, you're going to be tossed to the curb by a cruel government.
Stefan, your time is concluded. Our next speakers this evening are Andrew Simrin, followed by Jan Jameson.
Good evening, Mayor Venice, Council, and City Manager Madiri. My name is Drew Simran, and I'm a resident of the River Road neighborhood. I'm here to briefly advocate for responsible outdoor lighting policies and enforcement of existing policies that the city has. We heard briefly from people that have testified before about the effects of light pollution and artificial light at night. And I just wanted to briefly lend my support for, again, adopting policies that are consistent with Dark Sky International policies. I did want to lend my time to the rest of the community, given the disruption, but I'll be sending in more testimony via email. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. Our next speakers are Jan Jamison, followed by Whitney Donaldson. That appears to be a double. Jan Jamison, followed by Liz LaVenture.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jan Jamison. I use she, her pronouns, and I live in Ward 5. For the past 3 years, I've attended and volunteered for Eugene Pride. It is a welcoming, inclusive, and celebratory space. I am a member of the queer community and also have many friends and family that are part of this community, including my daughter. It's incredibly important to me that she have a space to feel welcomed, celebrated, and safe. I think at a minimum, everyone wants that for their children and loved ones. I ask that EPD respond to our inquiries related to creating a safe space during Eugene Pride. I don't want this event to become about fear, but rather about the values that we share in supporting each other in our community. Please help us to meet that vision. Please think of your own loved ones. You would want that for all of them. Thank you.
Thank you, Jan. Our next speakers are Liz LaVenture, followed by Brittany Chapman.
Hello, everyone. My name is Liz LaVenture. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a 73-year-old transgender woman, and I live in Ward 4. I've seen a lot in my lifetime. I've been involved in planning Pride events for 15 years. I've done so in St. Louis, Missouri, San Francisco, and now Eugene. I have never seen the lack of transparency and good faith communication from our city partners that we have experienced this year. We have held Eugene Pride in Alton Baker Park for 15 years now, on the second Saturday of August. The city of Eugene knows this. We begin planning Pride each January and coordinate with the city. Eugene proclaims continuing support for the LGBT community. But the same date, August 10th, as Pride, Eugene allowed Kesey Entertainment to book a sold-out concert at Cuthbert Amphitheater and allow them to reserve all the parking in the public park and to limit access to the park all day until the concert, which begins an hour after Pride is over anyway. Communication with the city has been confusing and shows a lack of good faith with our board. Time and talent has been invested by dozens of us volunteers in planning Pride these last 7 months. My heart is in the effort to plan our festival. Our pride will be on display. As a transgender woman, I feel thrown under the bus. And trust, trans folks know what it feels like to be thrown under the bus. Please, please, City of Eugene, treat us with respect and make us proud to live in Eugene. Thank you.
Thank you, Liz. Our next speakers are Brittany Chapman, followed by Robert Nodal.
Hi, my name is Brittany Chapman, and I use the she, her pronouns, and I live in Ward 1. I am currently a graduate student for the social work profession, and I am interning at the Center for Community Counseling, which has which is trying to be a vendor here at the group. And So I would just like to start out, for 30 years, Eugene Pride has been an annual tradition for our area's lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and other LGBTQ+ community. It has also been the only consistent cultural tradition of the queer, trans, and gender diverse community. We are all volunteer-led and run 501c3 nonprofit. Pride is not just a party or festival, it's a life-saving event for some folks. We have a sober circle where queer and trans folks in recovery can still be in the community while remaining sober and building a network of support year-round. We also offer an interfaith area where faith organizations can work to undo centuries of trauma inflicted on our communities. Our youth zone offers the chance for LGBTQ+ parents to meet each other and for queer, trans, and gender diverse youth to express themselves through art, activities, and fun. We have a large clothing swap and offer free gender diverse haircuts so people can feel comfortable in their own skin. And that's not even getting into the 153 drag queens, musicians, comedians, dancers, poets, and other artists who express themselves on our stages to a crowd of over 12,000 people. We have close to 300 sponsors and vendors with booths at this event. Many are businesses owned by queer youth and emerging entrepreneurs who are opening small businesses and making their start. No other venue in Eugene offers this opportunity. More than 100 people will be tested for HIV and get immediately connected to care and a supportive environment. More than 100 nonprofits will raise awareness around their services and connect the LGBTQ+ community to jobs, resources, and support that they need. Others will receive health care at our medical tent from doctors and nurses who are...
Thank you, Brittany. Your time is concluded. Our next speakers this evening are Robert Nodal, followed by Kay Anthony.
Hello, City Council. My name is Robert Nodell. I use he, him pronouns, and I live in Ward 6. I'm also here, as many of you have heard from many others here, about the issues concerning Eugene Pride. I moved up here in 2012 from Southern Oregon, where, as I'm sure you could guess, it is much more conservative down there and not as welcoming for the queer community in the slightest. I've heard of people getting attacked, and it is disheartening to hear recently that those kinds of attacks are happening again, and more so with bricks being thrown through windows, people's flags being stolen, and the fact that we can't even get secure or guaranteed security for our event in a park that we've had it consistently for at least 10, 15 years. I was very happy when I moved up here to learn how much more progressive it was because of where I came from and what I had seen around me in Southern Oregon versus up here, where it appeared to be a much more of an inclusive, artistic community that queer people could thrive in a manner of speaking. And it's frustrating with the fact that a private company or what have you is taking control of the park and making it difficult for performers or sponsors or anyone else that would like to attend Pride to not go or to back out or what have you because of, as many have mentioned, the protesters that come up and make quite a ruckus and make people feel unsafe and break rules even when there are police there to try and make them enforce them anyway. I have firsthand experience from that, trying to keep people away from them to keep them feeling safe. I put my own self in front of them to make sure that other people could enjoy the event without having to face such bigotry and just outright meanness for no reason. They just drive up there, and not even just Eugene Pride, but other prides around Oregon. And I really feel like and hope that you all listen and hear all of us, and to please do better. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Our next speakers are Kay Anthony, followed by Charlie Loeb.
Hello, my name is Kay Anthony. I use he, him pronouns, and I live in Ward 3. I'm a disabled queer artist and the owner of Majestic Mess Designs. I have been a vendor at Eugene Pride since 2018. I'm also a homeowner who has had a pride flag stolen off my home. To outsiders, Eugene Pride may seem like a fun but frivolous summer party by a queer culture that knows how to have a good time. But Pride festivals are rooted in protests against making our lives illegal. It's a celebration of our victories, but also a time to connect for the work ahead and to provide aid and solace to our community. As of June 28th, the ACLU had tracked 527 anti-LGBTQ bills introduced in 2024 alone, including 3 in Oregon. Now more than ever, we need the ability to connect as a physical community, and we need this event to be easy to attend for as many people as possible. While the City of Eugene has been working to improve bike routes and public transit, our society is still car-centric, and reducing access for cars means reducing access for people. I would like to propose that the City of Eugene assists Eugene Pride in setting up signage directing cars to alternate parking areas well before they try to enter the park, including before they cross Ferry Street Bridge. This will allow drivers to make informed choices ahead of time. We cannot assume everyone attending will check the website first. Through online spaces and friend networks, I hear queer people from all over the world wish their Pride festivals were more welcoming to all queer identities or more focused on the local community culture over corporations. And very often, I get to think to myself, Eugene Pride does that. My partner from a multi-generational queer family will be traveling hundreds of miles to attend Eugene Pride with me this year, in part because it is a fun and healing event. This is an event the City of Eugene should be just as proud of and as supportive of as the major sporting events. I'm glad this council is declaring they support the queer community in words, but this is an opportunity to back that up with simple actions that will make a big difference to our community and foster goodwill. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Kay. Our next speakers are Charlie Loeb, followed by Helen Shepard.
Hello, council members, mayor. I'm Charlie Loeb from Ward 2, very happy to be here in this new space. It's lovely. And I'm a little off the main topic tonight, but I did want to pick up where Lucy Moore left off a while ago to talk about sidewalks. I recently signed a petition to the city regarding sidewalks, specifically about the city coming up with a 10-year plan to make the sidewalk infrastructure here a lot better and to come up with a way of redoing the way sidewalks are financed here. I'm a heavy sidewalk user. I bike around Eugene primarily. I use sidewalks once I get to where I'm going. I occasionally drive around Eugene. I also park my car and use the sidewalks. I like to walk. I will walk miles on the sidewalks around Eugene, at least where they exist, because I find myself often getting bumped into the road where there are no sidewalks or where the sidewalks are in bad repair. Lucy was describing a particularly dramatic instance of where that bad sidewalk repair can result in potential hazardous situations. So what to do? Eugene has very ambitious goals about people using walking and biking and active transportation as a way to get places. And the TSP, the Transportation System Plan, called for a tripling in bicycle and pedestrian trips between 2017 and 2035. It's an ambitious goal, but how can you reach it if your sidewalks are in such crappy shape? The petitioners have a really good point, which is that we really need to start treating the sidewalks as transportation infrastructure, not as an incidental responsibility of property owners. I'm also a property owner. I'm responsible for maintaining the sidewalk in front of my house. I'm not responsible for maintaining the street in front of my house or the street I ride my bicycle on or that I drive on or that I take the bus on. Sidewalks are transportation infrastructure, and we should, if we're serious about people getting around this city by cycling, by walking, we need to treat it that way. We need to come up with a way of financing sidewalks like we do roads, like we do bike paths, like we do our multi-use paths, so that we can have a truly great place for people to walk here in Eugene. I should say, as a property owner, I'm quite willing to entertain some way of that doesn't involve me having to maintain it myself, and I'm quite willing to contribute financially to a more collective effort to do so. Sorry, I keep hitting that.
Thank you, Charlie. Your time is concluded. Our next speakers this evening are Helen Shepard, followed by Michelle Cochran.
Hello, Council. I'm Helen. I use they, them pronouns. I am a resident of Ward 7, and I am a lifelong Eugenian. I am the owner of Spectrum Queer Bar, and I'm also on the Eugene Pride Board of Directors. Part of the solution that Eugene Pride has come up with to having our parking taken away from us, this is the parking we've been using for years, is that I personally am matching a grant from ODOT to pay for shuttles. And we're gonna have designated parking areas, one of them probably being the stadium. Now, first of all, the stadium is a lot closer to Cuthbert Amphitheater than it is to where we're gonna be having the festival. So why is it that the Cuthbert is not the organization turning to the stadium and using that parking? Why is the onus on the 501c3 organization to get a donor to pay money to have this shuttle service? And furthermore, the Eugene Pride is a 501c3 organization. We make grants to individuals, including purchasing books for students, including supporting artists. So this donation, my donation to Eugene Pride this year, it's going to go to a shuttle, which is at this point a necessary service, but doesn't have to be. That money could be going straight to the hands of our community members. Why isn't Kesey Enterprises, who's going to be making so much more money that day, why aren't they the ones paying for a shuttle? I'm tired of picking up the slack as like an individual. I'm tired of seeing nonprofit resources stretched thinner and thinner, because there's just this attitude of like, oh, well, they're a nonprofit. They're happy to go out of their way to work even harder to do the good thing. It's messed up. And I love the Cuthbert Amphitheater, you know, and I've parked in the stadium parking lot to go to the Cuthbert Amphitheater before. It's possible, but they are not willing to even entertain that idea. They'd rather take away our parking. That sucks. Thank you.
Thank you, Helen. Our next speakers this evening are Michelle Cochran, followed by Reverend Brenda Wills.
Good evening. My name is Michelle Cochran. I use the pronouns she, her, and I'm a resident of Ward 7. Of great frustration is the private control of the park where the Eugene Pride Festival is held, second Saturday of August every year, for many years. Certainly. Oh.
Can you speak closer to the mic so folks in the back can hear? Thanks.
No problem. To be told that access to the entire fields and paved lots in our park would be withheld from our attendees and the tax-paying public has put incredible stress on the organizers and our community. Our attendees will walk past hundreds of empty parking spots to get to the festival, and for what? So that a few thousand people could attend and have VIP parking at a concert an hour after the largest cultural event in Eugene ends, to hear a band that shouts and sings a song where HIV and AIDS are only lyrics. It's alarming to see this happening in Eugene and insulting to Eugene's LGBTQ+ community. The challenges facing Eugene Pride are not happening in isolation. Eugene has lost its two largest Black cultural events, Eugene Juneteenth celebration and the Black Cultural Festival, proving that racism in Oregon is still more potent than homo, trans, queer phobia. Simultaneously, the strain on Eugene Pride is incredible. Members of our community are having pride flags ripped from their homes and their houses egged, and our own cutting of the original pride flag was stolen just last year. Bricks have been thrown through the windows of the Queer Resource Center. Other issues in the city include losing our baseball team, which organizes the second largest Pride event in Eugene, not to mention the loss of the hospital as a result, I understand, of decisions by the city. We're giving away our park so that a football palace can be built by an out-of-town oligarch. Our leaders are allowing Eugene to be hollowed out of its cultural institutions and integral public services. City staff have been wonderful to work with and as supportive as they can be. We want to especially thank Colette, Caswell, Molly, Amy, David, and Josiah.
Thank you, Michelle. Your time is concluded. Our next speakers this evening are Reverend Brenda Wills, followed by David Eigel.
Thank you. My name is Reverend Brenda Wills. I'm retired United Methodist clergy, and I moved here and bought a home 3 years ago in Riversong Co-housing. 28 new households came at that time, many of them. It's a diverse community, but there are several proud and out queer people in our community. In the 2023 Pride Festival, I walked as one of the de-escalators for a bit at the event through 12,000 participants. We urged Pride participants to simply ignore the hateful, often religious language that was being shouted to them. And it was quite difficult to continue their conversations when you're having someone yell obscenities at you or tell you you don't belong or that you're going to hell if you don't change who you love. The mission of Pride is promoting respect in diverse expression, pride. In arts and culture, in lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer communities. The disruptors are entitled to their free speech right, but the participants at the Pride Festival have a right to a sense of safety as they gather in a public park. It's important that the Eugene Police Department be present, supporting the Pride volunteers as they were last year. They were not in riot gear, but were available to intervene if the disruptors threatened the Pride folks physically. So as one who was walking around and trying to be kind of in the middle, I found some great support by seeing the police there and knowing they were there to back us up. For 45 years in United Methodist churches, I served in Lincoln, Douglas, Joseph, and Coos County. Those lesbian, gay, transsexual, transgender, and queer people who live in those communities look at Eugene. They come here, they spend money here, they come to school here. This is the safe community and always has been for the last 45 of my years in this state. And I don't like to see that changing.
Thank you, Reverend. Our next speakers are David Eigel, followed by Scott Fife.
David Eigel, Ward 1. This year, the Lane County History Museum will not be open during the fair. However, the museum is maintaining a booth in the hall. In response to my request that the public be informed of some of the most dishonest and bigoted portions of the disgraceful Racing to Change exhibit, Interim Director Marina Wren declined without offering any legitimate excuse. One of the many outrageous lies that were included in the exhibit was a lie that prior to 1965, blacks couldn't stay in hotels or motels in Eugene. But in 1953, the state of Oregon passed an open public accommodation law that made discrimination based on race unlawful in motels and hotels throughout Oregon. In 1957, the City Center Lodge in Eugene was listed in the Green Book, the book made famous by the movie of the same name. This very desirable, conveniently located AAA-approved motel was listing the business of black travelers. In 1904, Professor Frederick Dunn's Epworth League sponsored the Fisk Jubilee Singers from Fisk University, a black singing group. They stayed in the downtown Gross Hotel. Incidentally, the Epworth League is a part of the Methodist Church. On YouTube, Eugene NAACP head Eric Richardson appears in an Oregon Humanities video, Finding Home at the MIMS. He refers to the Green Book and repeats the same lie about Eugene being racially segregated. An NCAAP lie etched in the ground at the MIMS house is the city torn down Tent City, 1949. The city didn't tear down Tent City. This area wasn't in the city, it was the county. I ask that each member of the City Council act to insist that the Lane County History Museum inform the public of past misrepresentations and misconduct by the Lane County History Museum. I encourage the public to do the same and to visit the museum booth at the fair and to demand action. The link to my webpage has been sent to the mayor and city council. I have copies of the link available to hand out to anyone who asks. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Our next speakers are Scott Fife, followed by Bella Jones.
Yeah, my name is Scott Fife, and I live in Ward 1. This is a letter that I wrote to the Eugene Weekly. Unfortunately, it got in on Sunday night rather than Friday at 5 o'clock, which was the deadline. But it was just before the election, the May election. So here it goes. No city councilor deserves to be reelected. Their voting records show that through MUPD's multi-unit property tax exemptions, they favor developers over the city budget, taxpayers, and the environment. Environmentally, the council is forcing taxpayers to subsidize concrete production, the third largest greenhouse gas producer. Financially, the council's support for MUPD's provides 10 tax-free years for developers. The city budget has to make up for the shortfall, cutting library budgets and events like the Sunday Streets. The most heinous MUPD is 7 stories with 237 market-rate apartments next to the river. Riverfront developer Atkin Dame's presentations were mum about corporate welfare. Did anyone check to see if the view of the river from Skinner Butte will be what it will be with this monstrosity? In this hot real estate market, Atkin Dame had the gall to tell the council it wouldn't pencil out without the subsidies. Played like rubes, the council believed them. These were the same magic words uttered by Obie and the 16th Avenue developers. The councilors said we need housing. True, but we have empty buildings downtown that could be made into housing with little additional concrete poured. Homeowners, including the council's property tax grows with compound interest at 3% a year. The landlords pass this on to renters. Citizens are shocked by the city's rapid development. No need to subsidize the cost and privatize the profit. Don't vote for these incumbents. The others should also be recalled, but unlike the council, I don't believe in wasting taxpayers' money.
Thank you, Scott. Our next and final speaker is Bella Jones.
Hello. My name is Bella Jones, and I use she, her pronouns, and I live in Ward 2. Of great frustration is the private control of the park where the Eugene Pride Festival is held the second Saturday of August every year. To be told that access to entire fields and paved lots in our park would be withheld from our attendees and taxpaying public has put incredible stress on organizers and our community. Our attendees will walk past hundreds of empty parking lots to get to the festival, and that's for attendees that can walk, not including attendees living with disabilities and requiring access to disabled spots. And for what? So that a few thousand people could attend and have a VIP parking lot at a concert an hour after the largest cultural event in Eugene ends to hear a band shout and sing where HIV and AIDS are only lyrics? It's alarming to see this happen in Eugene and insulting to all of Eugene's LGBTQ+ community. The challenges facing Eugene Pride are not happening in isolation. Eugene has already this year has lost its 2 largest Black cultural events, Eugene Juneteenth Celebration and the Black Cultural Festival, proving that racism in Oregon is still more potent than homo, trans, and queer phobia. Simultaneously, the strain on Eugene's pride is incredible. Members of our community are having pride flags ripped from their homes and their houses egged, and our own cutting of the original pride flag was stolen. Bricks have been thrown through the windows of our Queer Resource Center. We will lose our baseball team, which organizes the second largest pride event in Eugene, not to mention the loss of our hospital. We're giving away our park so that a football palace can be built by an out-of-town oligarch. Our leaders are allowing Eugene to be hollowed out by its cultural institutions and integral public services. City staff has been wonderful to work with and supportive as they could be. We want to especially thank Colette, Caswell, Molly, Amy, David, and Josiah for all of their efforts to support this event. But the priorities set by the political leadership of the city work to hamstring their efforts. To proclaim your support for our community while at the same time implementing barriers to access to our most significant event is performative and not active.
Bella, your time is concluded. Mayor, that was our final speaker.
Okay, thank you very much, and I appreciate that we were able to hear so many speakers on diverse topics, but many on Pride and the Pride Festival. And I don't know whether the council have comments. I'm inclined to turn to the city manager. Do you want to make any remarks?
Not unless you have specific questions.
Okay, all right. So I will turn to councilors. Do you have specific questions you want to ask for clarification? Councilor Semple.
I think that we have a lot of information that hasn't been brought out today of what the city and staff and police have been doing to work together. And if it would be okay, I would like to hear some of that, because my heart is with everyone, but there's a middle point here, and the two sides don't know what the other ones are saying. So would you help with that? Thank you.
So with that caveat that I'm assembling information today, so I don't,
Just
a
a little
I'll give you a little.
assurance
So,
that we didn't sit up here and
No.
devise this evil plot.
So for those in the audience in particular, I don't think there's anything political that's happening here. It's just a couple of things. So we do put out an RFP and have a contract with a provider to do events at the Cuthbert, and there are certain things that are laid out in that contract. Kesey is our contractor that gives them the ability to schedule events between a time period, I think it's May and October. And when they have that, the contract allows for them to have certain control over an amount of the parking. As you can imagine, if you look at that in isolation, they need that in order to be able to be successful too. So that is true. Kesey does have a contract with the city. They went through a public process that was a city process. It's not a one-off. They've had it for several years. After last year's event, my understanding, if I look at the timeline, is Eugene Police reached out and did or you reached out and had a debrief in November to talk about what went well, what didn't go well, and how do we plan for the year. And then as far as I can tell, our first outreach to Pride was from EPD was in January, starting to say, hey, it seems like we need to start planning. So I do know we have been working together. I know there's a meeting later this week. There's certain things that I think EPD can and can't do that rely on sort of how are the organizers setting up the event? Are they putting in hard boundaries? Is it open? Is it like we're trying to get information from them, they're trying to get information from us, and I think it's just coming together late, as sometimes events do, but I don't think there's any malintent. In fact, when I looked back through the email strings, I was pretty impressed with EPD's proactiveness, given how last year went. And then, as I look through, I just think we have been doing a lot of work to help with traffic control. We've offered them the City Hall parking lot. We've offered them the steam plant parking lot. I'm willing to sign an administrative order that would also allow for all the parking on the street and the riverfront. There's some other lots that have been put available. Yes, there's a need for shuttles from some of these. I understand that. And shuttles from all of these if you have a disability. And a lot of people have disabilities that don't have placards, and it's very difficult to move. So I think the issue is it's a sold-out event. People will start coming, a couple of hours ahead of that event, and Pride will be not done. And so what happens in those few hours if all of that parking is filled by Pride, and now we have now had a contract, whatever the word is I'm looking for. We've failed our contract obligations with Kesey, and so that's a concern of ours too. So trying to hold both of these things and in balance and have a successful event is important to us. So I know staff's working. I'll continue to work. Josh has been working on it. The chief's been working on it today. So hopefully we can sort some things out this week and then think about, as we go into future years, how does this scheduling work out?
This is the time for us to respond to your comments, so please, quiet. I'm going to ask you to be quiet, or you'll have to leave. I will ask you to be quiet, or you'll have to leave.
Yeah, I think we would be obligated to put something new in a contract. We can't just change the rules on them. So.
Okay, are there, Councilor Keating?
Go ahead, Councilor Semple.
Thank you, City Manager. I appreciate that. I just want to be clear that both events have value. None of council has this was all a surprise to us, too. So it feels a little hard to be blamed for things we didn't know about. And I wanted to be clear that we and staff and you are all working together, and this is going to be okay. And I appreciate it that you came and told me it wasn't okay for you right now. And I hope you understand that we're hearing you. Thank you. Not you.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Keating?
Yeah, a couple things brought up that I'm interested in. You know, I've been to Pride for dozens of years. Dozens? At least half a dozen years I've attended Pride in the park. 2 years advancing a live broadcast on Star 102.3, which made history in 2018 and 2019, respectively. And I've been honored to speak at Pride to kick off multiple Pride events. In my mind, dozens of years. I'm really honing in, Manager, on the options for an administrative order regarding parking on the streets. My report at the conclusion of the 2023 Pride was that it was unsafe to navigate MLK Boulevard and around the Even Hotel because the parking in Alton Baker Park was at a max, and folks were just pulling over anywhere to get to the event. Folks were crossing the street wherever, and there's a real lack of whether it's volunteer crossing guards or law enforcement. There was a lack of an effort to get both pedestrians, cyclists, and motorists to where they needed to be in an expeditious and safe manner. And I recall sharing that. And so it's frustrating for me to hear the frustrations come to a head so close to our historic Pride in the Park celebration. So that's a piece that I just want to hone in on, and in particular hear from you, City Manager, about your thoughts about the administrative order and what that might mean in regards to opening up spots, and what sort of plan or conversations have there been with either law enforcement and Pride personnel for more either volunteer or paid law enforcement officers to help move Pride attendees and looks like concert goers later in the evening. That's question number one, and I've got a follow-up, please.
Okay. I'm pulling up an email while you speak, so let me just look at this. So the amount of spots that we've offered just here so far is about, there's 145 at City Hall, there's about 82 or 62 at the steam plant, and approximately 82-hour pay-to-park on-street public spaces that I would need to sign in. So it'd be an additional 80 spaces to the ones we've already offered. And we will just, I mean, that's something we will just work on. In terms of traffic control, I saw an exchange between the organizers and EPD in April where EPD actually offered to do the traffic control and absorb the costs.
Okay.
What's that? Okay. Well, I can follow up on that.
Thank you, City Manager. And I think there's also an opportunity, I don't know if this close to the event, but maybe in future events, to explore a relationship with with LTD. Maybe that's a fare free day
They've been working
for
on that.
LTD.
Yeah.
And around the corner, maybe there's an opportunity for a better synergy with Kesey for a Pride-friendly or LGBTQ+ friendly show that aligns with Pride in the Park. So following the day's events, there's an opportunity to celebrate in that space together, so it's less stepping on toes and competition and more synergy and an opportunity for a greater relationship. No need really to comment on that piece right now because that's obviously in the future. Thanks for coming tonight.
Thank you. Any other counselors with questions? I do want to ask the manager one more fine point about parking, just to, like, we have a memo with the parking, and it does explain that the ADA spots will be available. Could you clarify that for people, please?
Sorry, I feel like I'm speaking on your behalf, Brooks. So my understanding is that the lower lot, the lower paved lot that's closest to the festival area is reserved for ADA, and the upper lot, paved lot, is reserved for carpool 4 or more. They've also have some of the grass area that would have normally been for the Cuthbert reserved for vendors, entertainers, all the things, okay.
Okay, thank you. Brooks clearly knows that, but
Yes.
I don't know that everybody else in the
Yes.
audience knew that, and it felt like an important point to bring home. I think, you know, when I talked to you, Brooks, on Friday, I am distressed that this community is feeling this level of distress and this level that you're being overlooked and disregarded, and that is not our intention. And I believe that these issues are solvable, and I don't think it is part of a sort of a larger lack of complacency. But I appreciate your coming out and making it clear to us how profoundly upset and wounded and unsafe this is feeling to you. And I have a lot of confidence that those conversations will produce the festival that you want to have here, where people are able to access it, feel safe there, feel belonging, feel all of the richness of the experience that you're trying to offer. And we are committed to doing our best to bringing that all to come to pass. So thank you very much for coming, for letting us know how deeply you feel and how deeply concerned you are. And I'm confident that the city teams will continue to work to make this be a wonderful festival. And I look forward to being there. So thank you very, very much. And if there are no other comments, we are adjourned.